Hello all, welcome to Coffee with Marci. I am here with Kathryn Lancioni, and she is the CEO and founder of Presenting Perfection. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I greatly appreciate it.
Yes, awesome to have you, and Presenting Perfection, which I'm really excited to tell people about what you're doing, how you're helping children and adults. So first of all, will you tell us what Presenting Perfection exactly is?
It's a question, Marci, that I'm asked often by a lot of people because the title sort of sounds like a self-help DVD. Presenting Perfection is a communications firm focused on helping little kids, ages 8 and up, teens, tweens, and adults, the art of presenting. Mm-hmm. And our concept of presenting is everything from an introduction to an adult or to a peer on up to a speech or a presentation.
Well, that's awesome, because I think that nowadays, especially, a lot of us have difficulty communicating. The children do, and always public speaking is so difficult for adults. So you have some great projects that are coming up in a workshop that I'd love for you to talk about.
I do, thank you very
Yes.
much. So we work with, as Marci was sort of talking about, we work with kids on both individual and a group basis. Our groups tend to be anywhere between 8 and 12 kids. We need a minimum of 4 to make the curriculum work, and it's a small group workshop, 2-hour boot camp style. Mm-hmm. The one that we're really excited about is one that we're offering in Madison on October 29th, Madison, New Jersey, called Improv Impromptu in the Art of Daily Conversation.
Okay.
And what that's going to do is take kids through theater techniques as well as traditional public speaking techniques that'll help them and teach them learn how to manage their daily conversation. Because what we're finding is that a lot of kids are scared about talking like this to each other.
Yes. They hide behind the text, the phone, the computer.
They do.
And yeah, that's our society today.
Well, it's really scary because what's happening is they're actually losing their ability to practice speaking.
Yes.
You know, when we all grew up, like the way that we found our friend was to go knock on their door or to go call them on the phone or to talk to them at school by the locker or in the gym. But now what's happening is our kids don't do that. Mm-hmm. What's happening is that kids get on their phones, or their smartphones I should say, and they go into apps like House Party or Google Hangout, and they talk via videos. They talk face to face, but not in a real environment. And the weirdest thing, because I have an 11-year-old girl and a 14-year-old boy, the weirdest thing is they'll pass that same kid in the hall at school, and they won't talk to them.
I know.
And I just don't understand that.
I have to tell you, even my son, I have an 11 and 14-year-old. My son's 14. He'll get in the car and they'll be texting each other instead of communicating. Yep. I mean, maybe they don't want mom to hear, but you know, I just think they're also more comfortable that way.
They are, and it's really, really strange because for me, and this may just be, I guess it's an age difference thing, I prefer to talk to someone live, or I prefer to talk to them over the phone. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't have a whole conversation via Snapchat, and I'm sure you have the same thing going on in your house that I do mine. My son will sit there while doing his homework and watching TV, participating in a Snapchat conversation with someone.
Absolutely, every time.
Where they take a picture of half of their face, or the television, or the tree
he takes
outside.
a picture of the floor. I mean, what are you doing?
And it makes no sense.
Right.
And when you ask these kids what they're showing or why they're taking that picture, they have no idea. No. But the irony is they do it because they don't want to be rude to the other person. Mm-hmm. But yet when they say hello to that person in the hall, or that person says hello to them, very, very rarely do they acknowledge them. So what's happening is kids are developing this anxiety because they can't talk face to face in person. And it's a growing problem among teenagers.
I was just reading something recently about that, hiding behind their digital devices, and it was also creating a lot of depression and anxiety for these children.
That's right. There's a new film that's actually just come out called Screenagers, which we're showing at the Wyckoff Library on October 24th here in New Jersey, and I'll be speaking at that. And the whole concept is the fact that, you know, the teen-tween generation right now, they've been termed screenagers because their whole way of communicating is based upon screens. And as you've said, they hide behind these screens.
Well, also, you know, if we're really diving into this, it's like even the video games that they're playing.
That's right.
They would rather do it and invite them in the game than have someone over.
That's right. That's right. And my son will say, well, why do I have to have them over when I can just hang out with them online?
Right.
And
there's no physical.
There's none at all. And I just don't understand that.
Right.
But every mother I talk to of a boy and a girl, really in particular with the boys, every child is like that. No matter what the personality or what their interests, the kids seem to just prefer to have communication via some sort of mediated device rather than
Right.
face-to-face.
So let's talk a little bit more. So you have the workshop.
The workshop, right, in Madison, and then
Right.
we're getting into college interview season right now. So what we're doing is we've launched a program called Interview Expertise that is designed to work with juniors and seniors to help them prepare for the college interview.
Wow.
And I'm co-sponsoring an event with Huntington Learning Center in Ridgewood, New Jersey,
Very cool.
on November 19th.
Okay.
Where we're going to talk about sort of insights and tips on the college process, and Huntington's going to talk about the test prep. I'm going to talk about the interviews and the essay. And the idea is to arm parents and students, probably more importantly, with insights on how to go about applying to college. And the interview, although not all schools do it, for those that do, which tend to be the more selective schools, it can make or break a kid's application.
Absolutely.
And again, because a lot of kids have grown up behind these screens, the thought of having that college interview is absolutely terrifying to them.
Debilitating, I'm sure,
Yeah,
to a degree. Like, I think that maybe they miss out on a lot of opportunities because they're so self-conscious about it and nervous about it.
That's right, exactly. And one of the other things that I've been doing in the past couple of years is helping kids applying to private school for those interviews.
Wow.
So I worked with a 6th grader last year who was applying to a highly selective school up in Westchester. I helped some teenagers interview for their summer internships last year. One in particular was a group interview at the Metropolitan Museum. And it was him with 10 other kids. And he had to differentiate himself from that group. And it's real hard with a group interview to do that.
Yeah, I bet.
But I'm happy that he got the internship.
Awesome.
So this concept of communication anxiety cuts across everything from the private school interview to the college interview to the job interview to daily communication and to giving speeches. And the irony is that a lot of people just think it's just when I give a speech that I get nervous. But it's actually not true.
Yeah.
Research shows us that same anxiety cuts into every time that we actually have to talk to somebody.
Right.
And with the kids, with the teens that we've been saying, it's getting worse and worse.
Right.
So for all of us, it was just giving a speech that scared us. But for kids, it's just having a conversation.
Well, yeah, so it's a conversation and for adults speech, but also just going into a social situation.
That's right.
And I think that affects most of us, whatever age we are.
Well, I've always said the scariest thing for many adults, and a lot of women can identify to this, is the cocktail party.
Yes.
The holiday cocktail party, the holiday party where you're waiting for your husband or your girlfriend or your partner to show up, and they're not there. So you walk in, and typically what do we all do? We head to the bar.
Right.
We get a glass of wine, we stand there, we scan the room looking for someone that looks like us. Because we tend to, again, research shows, we're drawn to people that appear to be similar to us.
Right.
Either in the way that they're dressed or the way that they're standing.
You think you're going to have something in common.
That's right.
Yeah.
But usually you do. Usually you do, but maybe not as much as you want. So what I've said to people is go up to the person that you would normally not go up to and start talking to them.
Yeah.
And what's amazing about it is it's kind of liberating because they're so different from you. And you learn so much from them because they're not the person you normally talk to.
Absolutely. Not running in the same circles, doing the same things.
That's right.
They can really introduce you to new things.
Yeah, and I've become more and more keen on doing this myself because I teach college and I teach at Rutgers and William Patterson and I've taught at a bunch of other schools. So I've encountered kids from all over the world. And I know for myself, truly being forced to interact with people that I just wouldn't normally come in contact with because they're from other parts of the world or other parts of the country.
Right.
And they all have different backgrounds. It's amazing how much you can learn from them. And it's so incredibly exciting.
Yeah,
and so I always tell people, when you're in that situation and you're trying to read the room and figure out who to go talk to, get the glass of wine and then find that person that's standing by themselves too that isn't the person you would normally talk to.
Right.
And just say hi.
I like that.
Just
I like
say hi
that.
and smile.
Yeah, I want to try that.
It's good.
Absolutely.
It's good.
So now we're talking about all these things, bringing them to light. You've talked a little bit about this. Now, first of all, the
workshop in Madison?
Not the workshop in Madison, but the presentation that you're doing November 19th. Is that correct?
It's at
in
Huntington.
Ridgewood?
Yep, it's at the Huntington Learning Center in Ridgewood.
Okay, so is that for adults and the
It is. It's for
teens?
adults and kids.
Okay.
Yes. And we're encouraging people to bring their kids and we're encouraging kids to bring their parents.
Okay.
So even if you've been through this process 2 or 3 times, so that people can get some brand new information on colleges. Because as many of you know, colleges are constantly changing not just their tuition, but the way they want people to apply.
Right.
And what we're finding, I know I do a lot with Cornell, what we're finding is that colleges are looking more and more at the total student. So it's not just the test scores, and it's not just the grades. It's the whole package.
Absolutely.
So especially if you're a junior or even a sophomore, come and we can talk about some great ways to help you differentiate yourself from everybody else.
Yeah, and you know what? I think the earlier the better, right?
Yes.
Because you become more comfortable with it, you know what to expect.
That's right.
And maybe you need to practice more than just the one time. And then they can work with you, starting at a younger age.
That's absolutely right, because everyone is fairly good at introducing themselves. We all know to shake your hand and smile and say hello. And in a college interview, obviously, or interview, that's really, really important. But where we often get sidetracked is when people ask those questions that we all hate. What color would you be in the crayon box? If you could have any superpower, what would it be? Tell me the 5 things that are terrible about you, or tell me your 5 greatest flaws.
Yeah.
Those are all really hard, and they make us all nervous. And again, that communication anxiety comes back in.
Right.
So by doing more and more role plays and learning how to control your nerves, especially so they don't show, and how to answer those questions, you're going to be that much better in all those situations, that put you on edge. And the other challenge that we see in interviews is that when people say, well, tell me about yourself.
Yes.
The students don't know what to say.
Right.
So what I always tell people is this technique that I came up with called 3 About Me. So what are 3 things about yourself that you want to share with that person?
Right.
And if it's a college interview, it really should be something that gels with the culture of the school. Or if it's a job interview, something that gels with the culture of the business.
That makes sense, yeah.
Because most people just start to talk and blurt stuff out. And that's not what you want to do. You want to keep it controlled.
Yes.
You want to take the lead in whatever interview it is and make sure that you're sharing the information about yourself in the way that's best.
Right.
And the more you view it that way, as opposed to, oh my goodness, this person's going to ask me all this stuff that I don't know, the better off you're going to be.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah, and that 3 About Me technique I use with kids, kind of 8 and up, and it's really empowering because it changes the dynamics. Rather than, oh my gosh, what are they going to ask me? It's okay, this is what I'm going to share with somebody else.
This is what I'm going to share about myself.
Yeah.
And so the workshop that's coming up, again, tell the date again.
So there are a couple. So there's October 24th, we're doing screenagers at the Wyckoff Library, and I believe that starts at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
And then October 29th, there's a workshop in Madison, New Jersey at a place called MYB, Mind Your Body Medicine. And that's the impromptu, and the art of daily conversation. And so that's for teens and tweens. And you can come to my website, which is presentingperfection.com, for information on that. And then the workshop on November 19th is in Ridgewood.
Okay.
And that's a Sunday from 1 to 2:30, and that's the one on the college application process.
Right. Now, these workshops, are they one time, or are you looking to expand and maybe go into the schools or the YMCA so you can really help communities?
I'd love to expand. I have a network of people that work with me throughout the New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Connecticut area, but we would love to take it beyond where it is. The idea being partially because a lot of the schools, especially with those with the core curriculum, don't have it in their curriculum to teach these essential communication skills.
Yes, absolutely.
So the more that we can do it as either an after-school activity or a weekend activity, the better off it is. As we all know, kids these days are very, very scheduled and overscheduled.
Yes.
So the format that we found that works is an hour and a half to 2 hour boot camp style.
Okay.
Not a one and done, but come once, try it. And if you like what you've learned and you agree with the methodology, come back again.
Okay.
And I'll work with people, especially if you have a group of like 3 or 4 kids and moms that want to do this, I'll work with you to come up with a date and a curriculum that's specific to your kids' needs. Because everyone is different.
Yes, absolutely.
And so rather than making the approach cookie cutter, everything that we do is customized.
Wow.
So that we can really address, John's fear of this and Mary's fear of that and Luke's challenges with this.
Right.
And that way these kids walk away with knowledge about their specific communications challenges. It's a lot of fun, and I've been teaching in college for the past 8 years in public speaking primarily. And with the thousands and thousands of kids that I worked at, because I think at this point it's fair to say there's thousands and thousands, what you learn is that everybody can be a great communicator, but everybody has different challenges. And none of it can or should be cookie cutter, because what one person is great at, someone else isn't so good at.
Right.
So what I believe in doing is take the stuff that's good and making it better. And the stuff that's not so good, making it good.
Right.
And by that way, you come out of a class or a multi-class session with great tools and techniques for yourself.
It's tools that are so important.
That's right.
Right. And I like the fact that you can be exposed to it in the workshop, and then work with you.
That's right.
One-on-one.
Yeah, and I also, speaking of the one-on-one stuff, I do work with students on a remote basis. So, you know, if you're watching this and you live in Chicago and you're, gosh, my son or my daughter really, really needs some interview help and you haven't been able to find it, I can help you.
Yeah.
We do everything via Skype or, you know, any of the sort of online communication systems we do stuff with.
It's amazing because at least it opens up the world to us,
It
right?
does. It really, really does.
So we don't want to be stuck behind it, but it's great that what it does allow us to do.
Yeah, and all we ask is that you give us 24 hours to schedule it. You know, shoot us an email and we'll work with you to schedule it and get it going. And again, it can be a one and done or it could be a multi-session concept. And it can be anything from an interview to a speech to a PowerPoint that you need help with. You know, we have people that work with all of that stuff.
So if I have a job interview, I could even reach out to you and say, I need this help.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Okay. And then do you kind of guide them along as to, I mean, I know you have your tools, but you know, like, I'm gonna go work for whatever it may be, Nabisco, and so now I've got to come up with why I'd be the best fit for that job.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we do is we look at your personality. We help you sort of dissect those 3 or 4 things that truly make you unique, and then look at the culture of that organization and try to figure how can you take those two and marry them together so that you can go in there and make that interviewer know or think that you are the right candidate for that job. So when you walk out of there, they say, okay, we found our person. We really want that person to be here.
So let's talk about that. So you are a teacher. You do teaching at Rutgers and William Patterson University,
in Wayne, New Jersey. Yes,
in Wayne, New Jersey, and that's communications and public speaking.
That's right. Yeah, I cover all facets of communication, but sort of the sweet spot for me is business communication and most importantly, public speaking.
Okay.
And that's something that I just love teaching because it truly, truly helps people in both their professional and social lives.
Right.
And not dating, but like their everyday conversation. You know, it's very empowering because if you emanate positive energy and you come across as a positive person, again, the research shows that things just work out better for you, right? But if you come across as sad and dowdy, people don't want to spend time with you, opportunities don't come your way. The key is positivity, and the key is, as we've all heard a lot about these days, mindfulness. And part of the secret of both of those tools is great communication skills.
Absolutely.
There's a great TED Talk by a woman named Amy Cuddy, and one of her big lines that's resonated with a lot of people, especially a lot of women, is fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
And the idea being that sometimes we find ourselves in situations where we're thinking internally, I'm not supposed to be here.
Yes.
But you're there.
Yes.
And it's scary.
You gotta make it work,
That's
right?
right. And I know for myself, I've had a lot of the situations in my career, and then there's one day where you realize, okay, I'm no longer faking it, I'm doing it. And part of getting through those initial butterflies, those initial nerves, is just that great communication skills and just positive energy and just thinking, okay, I can do this and I can be there.
Yeah.
And if you have those essential communication skills and you're not afraid to ask a question, and if you're not afraid to tell a story about yourself, you're going to be so much further than so many people, because a lot of people are afraid to share.
They are afraid to share it. It's hard to talk about yourself.
It is. It's very, very intimidating.
Yeah.
And it's silly because it's ourselves.
I know.
Who knows us better than us?
Exactly.
But a lot of people assume that no one finds them interesting.
Right. Or you're bragging in some way.
That's right.
Or
That's
it can make you very uncomfortable.
It can. But the thing is you have to realize that we all have interesting parts. And that, some crazy story about, some camping trip you took or some hang gliding thing that you did, that might be interesting to someone.
Right.
And if you were having a lull in a conversation, bring something up like, you'll never believe the craziest thing I ever did was when I jumped off a cliff and went hang gliding in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Or you could talk about the time that you were on a really bad date. Or you could talk about your 8th grade science teacher and how you didn't like them. And it doesn't necessarily have to correlate to exactly what the conversation is. You can figure out some way to pivot in. But sometimes connectors, sometimes real world experiences make people smile, they make people laugh.
Right, and it makes them comfortable because then they can open up about themselves.
That's right, exactly.
Yeah.
So the more you're willing to share and the more positivity that you get off, the better a conversation's going to go. Be it, again, an introduction, an interview, or even a speech.
Right. Well, I tell you, you've given us some incredible information.
Oh, thank you. It's absolutely my pleasure.
I tell you, I'm really excited about these workshops, and I would love to see more, I mean, and grow in our communities,
I would love
because
that.
we are all facing these things, no matter what age, and the hiding behind the devices and the effects that that's having on our children.
It's a big problem.
It is a big problem, and I know that we as parents are always wanting to figure out what to do, and we try to limit the time, but how are we really helping them?
That's right. That's right.
Once they get off of the devices.
Well, that's right, because some
right?
of us too, we suffer from our own distractions on those
Well,
smart devices.
I tell you, I think that we all a little bit can be
Putting our device down and looking at our kid's face.
Exactly, because sometimes I'm at dinner and I'm seeing the mom and the child both on their devices. So maybe they well, I don't have anything to say, so I'm looking here. So
Yeah, I was at a lecture last year, and a pediatric researcher said, he goes, if you're critical of your kids spending too much time on their smart devices, think about how much time you're spending on your own.
Yes.
Because if they see their parent doing it, they assume it's okay for them to do it.
They mirror our actions.
Absolutely.
Right.
And it doesn't matter how old they are.
Right. So Kathryn, thank you again.
My absolute pleasure.
And presenting perfection. I mean, you are incredible, and you help with workshops and one-on-one, and teens and adults and children can all benefit from you. So thank you again.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we'll see you soon.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in. Bye.